Welcome back, everybody, to another Digital Gate Studios production. You asked for it. We did it. It's finally here. Long awaited. What profile is this?
This is updated Ravemon with the Ravemon burst mode specifically, the Digimon that I have been looking forward to since the game started.
Found a way to get all the pieces.
I found a way to get all the pieces. I made it happen. Thank you, Bandai, for subscribing. If you want to be like Bandai, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, jump in the comments. We have an awesome podcast coming out every Friday. But let's dive into Ravemon.
Let's go.
So this is a deck that I originally had planned to have the first one recorded of the set and have it ready to go because it was like, oh, it should be easy, right? I'm getting a whole second line for everything. But really, to me, this deck completely kind of changes in a way that made me change my deck building strategy. So we'll start with the eggs because it's easy. 4 Pinamons. It's awesome that the Demi-Mera is a little outclassed in this deck, particular with the tribe, so I'm a big fan of that.
I always like those purple decks. Doesn't just by default play the Demi.
Even though Demi-Mera is one of the best eggs in the game, right? On deletion, if you lead outside of battle, gain 1 memory. This deck does gain a lot of memory, so I guess just real quick, what does the Ravemon deck do? The Ravemon deck deletes himself. And then when you delete himself, you delete it by an effect, so you gain memory with the Pinamon. You also, on this inheritable, on deletion, if deleted outside of a battle, your opponent trashes 1 card in their hand. So it does a good job of hand manipulation. We are sticking with the tried and true of this Falcomon because he's one of the best artworks in the game, and because of the fact that he's a searcher, and you really need that search. You want to search in this deck, especially with the changes that I've made, and I'll dive into that as I progress up through the levels with my ratios. On play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 purple Digimon card with Ravemon in its name, or bird, or avian in its traits, and 1 Keenan. So it grabs you the pieces, grabs you the Tamer. It's really nice. Place the rest at the bottom. Next, we're going to dive into the newest Falcomon. I'm only playing a 3 of, and this is kind of where I want to take a little sidestep and talk about it. What I found with this deck, and for those that have seen my last Ravemon deck profile, first of all, thank you for the support. But that was the Ravemon deck that I loved. Right, that one was really easy to me. Playing it with the Merva package, having some retaliators, having those kind of ratios, it felt really good. The deck was so strong. I loved it. This is nice because it's on play. One of your purple Digimon gains retaliation, so it's really nice because you want Ravemon to have a deterrence against those high blockers.
Yeah.
Even though Black or Gray can just strip sources to prevent deletion by effect, right? So it's one of those. The Falcomon is not the best addition. It is kind of a good card, though. I like the inheritable. It mimics that, so they both have that.
Good counter to like Quartzmon and stuff like that, though.
Yeah, so with that reason, that's why this is only a 3, because I just found myself still enjoying the Tsukaimon too much to go down to less than 4. I really prefer having Tsukaimon in my stack. And that's not just because I like to use the Falco as a searcher, but because I like to gain 2 memory when you're doing the Ravemon combo. So I decided to keep this at 4. Normally, I've been playing 12 level 3s lately. I'm down to 11.
Welcome
this
to
is
the
what
club.
I'm talking about, right? This is where I feel like the deck has really forced me to change, grow, adapt, overcome as a deck builder. Change my ratios up, and I'll show you my next example when I have all the 4s laid out. But we are still playing the original EX4 Pekmon. When Digivolving, if you do not have Keenan in play, you may play 1 Keenan from your hand without paying the cost. This is unfortunate because other decks get like level 5s that play the Tamers, and I like the level 5 way more than a level 4. However, this gets more use now with the burst mode because you have to return a Keenan to hand.
Yeah.
So I still like this as a 4 of. I liked it as my last deck as a 4 of, although I find myself not using the ability as much. Heritable is really good. If deleted outside of a battle, your opponent trashes 1 card in their hand. I've been a big fan of that. This is where I'm pretty happy with the new edition. Again, this is still not the best edition of this particular set. We're playing 4 of the newest Pekmon. And I'm just going to lay out my last level 4 because I want to take a little rant about level 4s for a sec here. I've seen a lot of lists playing different level 4s. I think everybody plays this as a 4 of or 3 of.
Because you want to play the King.
Right. So I agree that this is a 3 or 4 of for sure. I think most people agree with that. This is where things start to differ. I see a lot of lists play 2 of the new Pekmon, or sometimes they just play like Devimon with blocker. And it makes sense, right? It makes sense why they do that. What I really like is the idea of the Ginkaku promote, because you can kind of sneak out a level 4 with a new ability in this deck to where you could give it rush. You could digivolve on a 3 that comes out to have rush, etc. There's a little bit more options in the deck. But what I found myself doing was, because I changed my ratios, this is the first time in a deck that I've personally played 9 level 4s. Normally, I'm like, it was hard for me to get down to 10. When the game first started, I was at 12, and I'm slowly losing a number, right, as time goes on. But I'm at 9. I see a lot of lists only playing 8, just like 4 and 4 of the Pac-Mon or whatever, or 4 of this and maybe 2 Turbo and 2 Ginkaku or something like that. But they've been really only playing 8. And that's because there's so many things you want to do with this deck that you want the room for. So I decided to compromise and do 9. I just had a Loey, just a good win con.
Yeah, Loey
it's
for game.
Loey for game because we do play Tamers that are purple you want to Digivolve on top of. And I'm also kind of doing this new thing that, or not new thing, because a lot of people have been talking about this from the very beginning of the game where you do your ratios and then you just -2 for each step. So you start off with X number of level 3s and X -2 is your 4s. And then X -4 is your 5s, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. For the Chromon, this is still the best Chromon in my opinion.
EX4.
Yep, this one is great. So I will lay out the other Chromon, and this will be the last of my level 5. So I'm only playing 7 now. I think a lot of people disagree. I think every list I see plays 8, and I'll get into that in a sec. Chromon from EX4 is on delete, or excuse me, when attacking, if you have a purple Tamer, you may Digivolve into a Ravemon from your hand, which is really nice because I was playing the Vajramon, and I love the Vajra. Do not get me wrong.
Yep.
Had I not gotten a new Crow, I would probably be sticking with the Vajra. This can play it from hand. This one just says if you have a Tamer in play, it doesn't have to be purple. You can Digivolve into a Ravemon from your trash. So I kind of like this more as the later game anyways, when you get the Ravemon, or when you get the Raves in trash.
Get to
lets you
reuse them,
recycle them, you get to reuse them a little bit more, etc. So I really like both of these in conjunction with each other. I know why people play 8. Even if they play 8 level 4s and then they play 8 of the Crows, I get it.
Yeah.
But again, I'm really following this X -2 pattern, right? 11, 9, 7. And that does continue for me with the level 6s.
5?
With Ravemon, 4 of the original from EX4.
I think that's smart.
And 1 of BT13, right? So the Inheritables of the Chromon are really nice too. Delete outside of battle, delete when your opponent's level 5. Absolutely love this ability. I refuse to go down to less than 4 of this, even with the Vajras. This one is delete outside of battle. You may play 1 level 4 or lower purple Digimon from trash. So it's nice with the Falco to give retaliation. It's nice to replay the blocker. I think I'd rather do that. The Rush is nice. I know why people played Ginkaku Promote, but that's why I do it. So I am a couple controversial decisions in, like only playing 7 level 5s, and I think this will be another one that people are going to disagree with or agree with. I think it all depends on your preference, right? I'm not a fan of the newest Ravemon.
Not a big.
It's a 4-cost Evo. Yes, it's 12K, but it's still a 4-cost Evo. And what was really strong about the deck is the 3-cost jamming, having the entire combo with the EX4 Ravemon. So for those of you that do not know what EX4 Ravemon is, he's 11K. He's jamming. He's only 3-cost Evo. It's really nice. End of attack. By deleting this Digimon that has a bird or avian in one of its traits, at the end of the turn, end of your opponent's turn, you play 1 Ravemon from your trash without paying it the cost. You can play this Ravemon, which is why I think some people like to do a little bit more of that. This one also has it on deletion. If your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, trash 1 card in their hand, then, which is really cool, it's nice little sequencing. Then if your opponent has 7 or fewer in their hand, they add the top card of security to their hand. How many times have I asked you how many cards you have in hand before I make
All
a move?
the time.
All the time.
Almost more than blue does.
Almost more than blue does, because of the fact that I get to choose the order of my deletion effects, whether or not I want to trigger that first and get the under 7 and then trash security, if I want to trigger the Inheritables to trash cards first. To me, the combo of this deck is you're really going to focus on getting all the pieces you need, building your first Ravemon stack and raising, and then you're going to go. Once it's going, it goes. It's really easy to keep it going once you get it going. Obviously, there's ways around it. Every deck has its counter. This is no exception. But to me, the BT13 Ravemon didn't really add that much more to it. I do like the fact that it's another Ravemon. Again, another reason with my ratios, why I'm playing 4 of the new pack, all Crows, is because I want to be searchable from the Falco. I want to be able to grab as many pieces because I am playing less ratios, right, to really get the gamble. End of turn with the BT13 Ravemon. By deleting this Digimon that has a Digivolution card with Bird or Avian, at the end of your opponent's turn, you may play 1 Ravemon from your trash without paying the cost. So I do like this Ravemon that you can trigger itself. So I don't think it's just worth to excluding it. And I am torn between playing 3 of this one and 2 of that. But I really want to stick with the ratios of the 11, the 7, the 5.
Yeah.
Let's keep with that number. And then also, on deletion, you may play one Falcomon or Keenan from your hand or trash without paying the cost. That's honestly the best part about that card. So, to me, I want to hear your guys' comments. Why do you play a lot of this Ravemon? Which one is your favorite of the two? What's your ideal split? I definitely want to get in on this because, I'm telling you guys, I'm struggling with Ravemon. Like I said, I was planning on having this deck as soon as BT13 dropped, and it's been holding me back because I've been struggling with the ratios. This is another part that I've been struggling with the ratios.
The burst
mode. Now, I was so excited to have Ravemon burst mode. And being in the U.S. market, right, or the North American market, we kind of know what's coming out in Japan already. So it's like when I saw the Burstmon reveals for Ravemon, I know we had Ruin mode, but then actually using Ruin mode in EX4, I was like, why would I want to take out Ruin mode besides being tribal? So if you like Ruin mode, I highly recommend if you want to do a 2-1 split, copy the Shine Gray players that are doing a 2-1 split, go for it.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. I'm opting for 3 of the burst mode because he is the tribe. He's searchable by Falcomon, which all this is really helping. And then the option itself, the Amai no Ohabara, can delete that and then trigger because it has Ravemon in name, right? So that's part of the reason why I'm going with this. And I alluded to it earlier. The biggest weakness of this deck are Crimson Blaze, Palmumon, etc. Those are hard to get around, just, in general. But the second biggest weakness of this deck is having a big blocker. Ravemon Burst Mode allows you to get around that. It allows you to get around that because you can burst Digivolve for 0 by returning a Keenan to hand, which is such a cool mechanic. If it didn't have that mechanic, Ruin Mode would be there. 100%. When Digivolving, search your opponent's hand, which is nice because you get to see what they have, do some more hand disruption, kind of control what they can and can't do a little bit, and trash 1 card among it. Then if they have 7 or fewer cards in hand, they add the top card of the security stack to their hand. So I really like the manipulation of your opponent's security, adding it to hand. It's really cool in this deck as well. When attacking, by returning 1 Digimon card from your opponent's trash to the bottom of the deck, delete all of your opponent's Digimon with the same name as that card.
So cool. Such a cool.
Taking us back to BT1 Omni with the name.
Yeah.
There, something I didn't think I was going to see. So Dioboromon players, watch out. Ravemon Burst Mode is going to wipe your entire board, and Eosmon as well.
E-Brigade.
But what I like about this is when I go against Royal Knights,
yeah,
right, and I can look at the Magnamon on the field. If they have a Magna in trash, I'll tuck a Magna to pop their Magna so they don't have the blocker anymore. The Craniumon, right, as long as it's not BT3 Craniumon, that can't be affected by effects. So the Ravemon Burst Mode is really strong in this deck. I really wanted to do 2, and ideally 2.5 would be my number. But I just kind of figured let's stick with our pattern that we have going on. It's a 15K body and security, free Evo, especially by the time you get the Ravemon out for the second time. It doesn't have the sources, etc.
Smart.
That's going to be it for Digimon. This really stumped me for a long time, guys, because the ratios are so tricky with all the changes I have to make. And part of that does carry over into the Tamers itself. So I'm just going to lay out all 9 Tamers that I'm playing right now. 9 is a lot at the moment. And I know Jesse loves editing it when I just lay down 3 cards at once. So we'll just have pop one at a time for you. We're talking about original EX4. Keenan Career, he's a memory setter. Has an all turns ability, which is awesome. When one of your purple Digimon in its name with bird or avian in its traits is deleted, suspend the Tamer, draw 1.
Yeah.
If auxiliated by an effect, gain 1 memory. All turns. That's awesome. So really pairs well with the Ravemon strategy. You draw cards, you gain memory. And for me, the reason why I'm keeping with this 9 split Tamer, it may seem like a lot, especially with a lot of those that are used to just playing 1, 2 analog use, maybe even 0.
Yeah.
Is that in EX4, Keenan Career and Analog Youth worked so well.
Wow.
I did not want to take away from that. I tried my first couple builds of this deck. I reduced my Tamers from this 9 to have a little bit more Digimon themselves, like especially 8 Chromon, 12 level 3s, 6 level 6s, right? Just so that way I could do it. But the Tamers are so strong. You have Keenan on play. Your opponent may trash 1 Tamer or option card in their hand. If they don't, gain 1 memory, draw 1. It's awesome. Opponent's turn, when effect plays a Digimon, suspend this Tamer, gain 1 memory. So it's really nice when Ravemon comes out at the end of your opponent's turn, you can suspend that to gain a memory, kind of either push you past your memory starting range or whatever. But really, this Keenan's in here because he's a 3-cost Evo or 3-cost hard play, and then you could Digivolve for 0 by returning that one to hand and kind of get some nice little draw power, right?
Yeah.
Analog Youth, I love this card. It's been one of my favorite cards. It came out in EX1. On play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon, trash the rest. All turns when a level 5 or higher Digimon with Digivolution cards is deleted, suspend this Tamer, gain a memory, hatch an egg, and raising.
That's the strongest part.
That's the strongest part because this pairs so well. This Keenan does something when the Ravemon dies. This Keenan does, or this Analog Youth does something when the Keenan dies.
Daimon does.
Gain memory
egg,
here. Yeah. You gain so much memory with the Analog Youth that I found you want to rebuild another stack in raising, right? So hatching the egg is so important that you want to hatch that egg, get going with your next stack with Ravemon so you can do it again. That way, all of a sudden their board is overwhelmed with Ravemons because you have built your second stack. You got one coming out of trash, right? To me, I had to stick with the 3.
Yeah.
So this may seem really high for the Tamer cost. Let us know in the comments what you think, but I just really struggled not.
I agree with it.
Yeah.
Because you're building your second stack while they're still distracted with the recurring Ravemon coming back out of trash.
And then all of a sudden now I have 2 Ravemons doing it, especially if I'm using the option. Love this option, the Ame no Ahabari. By deleting one of your Digimon, delete one of your opponent's Digimon whose level is less than or equal. So great effect on its own.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be suspended, unsuspended.
Yep.
A lot of times purple options have that stipulation. If one of your Digimon with Ravemon was deleted, so now Ravemon Burst Mode has Ravemon in name, so you can delete its level 7 to delete their level 7. You can play a Ravemon, not a Burst Mode, a regular Ravemon at the end of your opponent's turn. So I love this option, and to me, when I was building this deck with the new BT13 stuff, I found myself cutting down on Tamers, and I found myself cutting down on the options, and that's what made the deck work so well in EX4 that I ultimately just decided to cut down my Digimon levels and stick with my original option package. So this is the last card in the deck, 3 purple memory boosts. I just find myself needing the draw power, the search. I found myself needing that extra memory every now and then. I really don't mind it when it gets hit in security because then it's like I'm set up. I can get even a turn ahead, turn quicker.
I got you.
Right? And especially now that these level 5s can Digivolve into Ravemons and pass memory to your opponent's turn, and then you get it back when it pops, right? You can pop a memory boost for 2, Digivolve into level 4, Chromon, if you have the Tamer out, right? So you just... To me, this is what the deck needed. I see a lot of the new modern decks, and I understand why they picked the ratios and the numbers and all the different cards that they did. But to me, it was, let's stick with what was working in EX4 and make it better with the actual new tribe stuff. Not, make it a little bit more pressed thin, right?
Yeah.
So this is it, guys. If you made it this far, first of all, thank you, as always. Feel free, like, comment, subscribe. I want to hear your Ravemon thoughts. This is definitely a deck that I'm in the air. Want to hear good suggestions, want to see why people do this, want to get all the expert feedback. But more importantly, stay tuned to the channel because we have more deck profile videos coming your way.
More birds.
More birds coming your way. You'll never get enough of them. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll catch you in the next one.